What's up YouTube, Saf here on Super Saf TV, and in this video we're going to be looking at the key differences between the iPhone 6s and the iPhone 6s Plus. So both of these devices were announced yesterday from Apple, and if you're not too sure which one is the right one for you and what are the actual differences between these two, well, hopefully this video will help you out. So let's start off with the displays. They are the same displays from last year in terms of the size. You've got 4.7 inches here on the iPhone 6s, and on the 6s Plus you've got 5.5 inches. So once again, it is going to come down to what type of screen size you prefer. If you are somebody who consumes a lot more media, then the 6s Plus is probably going to be a better option. The displays are exactly the same. They are LED backlit displays, although you've got a slightly better contrast ratio on the iPhone 6s. Now this isn't very significant, so it's not really something that you'll notice. Now, one new feature that you've got on both new iPhones here is Force Touch. They're calling it 3D Touch, and this is basically a pressure sensitive screen. Now we'll be going into some of the features that you can get with Force Touch later on in this video. In terms of resolution, this is where the iPhone 6s Plus has an advantage, because you've got 1080p resolution here versus 750p here. So 1344 by 750 versus 1920 by 1080. A higher pixel density here as well of 401 versus 326. So slightly sharper details on the iPhone 6s Plus. Once again, nothing that you will be noticing at a normal viewing distance. Now moving on to the size differences, the iPhone 6s Plus does come in quite a bit larger. 19.9mm in terms of the height, 10.8mm in terms of the width, 0.2mm in terms of the thickness, and it's also 49 grams heavier, so almost 50 grams heavier compared to the iPhone 6s. So definitely a very large device, and this is something that you're gonna have to really work with because these devices are coming in larger as well as heavier compared to last year's models. And that's because this time around you have 7000 series aluminum. So the design looks exactly the same as last year, but it is reinforced and roughly about 60% stronger compared to last year's models. So you shouldn't have any problems in terms of getting the devices bent. If you are going to be having your smartphone in, say for example, your back pocket, and you're going to be sitting down and things, then this is something that you're going to have to worry about less with these new iPhones. Now another new thing that you've got here is a rose gold version. So this is an additional version that we have this time around. So if you are into that color, then that's going to be something interesting for you. That's available here on both. And you've also got the gold, silver and space gray as last year, although they have discontinued the gold version for last year's iPhone 6. So if you are thinking of getting the previous year's iPhone, then do just bear that in mind, that if you're going to be buying it directly from Apple, then you're not going to have the gold version available. Now looking at the internals, both of these have Apple's latest A9 chip, and this is 64-bit. You've also got the M9 coprocessor, motion coprocessor, that's embedded within this chip now, so that should make it a lot more efficient. In terms of the cores and also the clock speed, Apple hasn't specified this. We're going to have to wait until we've got the devices in hand, and after a few people have actually opened those up and seen what kind of specs we have inside. RAM, once again, has not been specified, but these are supposed to be a lot faster compared to previous year's models. They were saying 70% faster CPU and 90% faster GPU, so that's definitely very, very positive to see. Now because you're pushing out slightly more pixels on the iPhone 6s Plus, that might give the iPhone 6s a slight advantage. And in terms of benchmarks and things, last year as well, you found that the iPhone 6 had a slight advantage. Now very slight, this is not something that you're really going to be noticing on a general day-to-day basis. In terms of the storage versions available, you've got 16, 64 and 128 gig on both here, and this is the same as last year. Now this is an obvious tactic from Apple because they want you to go for the 64 gigabyte version, and realistically speaking, that's what I would advise, because 16 gigabytes is going to fill up very, very quickly. In terms of the cameras, we've got an upgrade here, 12 megapixels compared to the 8 megapixels last year. So you've got 12 megapixels here on both. And as with last year, once again, the 6s Plus comes with optical image stabilization. This is not something that's available on the iPhone 6s. So if you are going to be taking more low light shots and things, and also for the video, it is going to be a little bit more beneficial going for the 6s Plus. Now one new feature that you've got in terms of the pictures is live photos. So this is going to take 1.5 seconds before and after you take a shot automatically if this feature is enabled, and later on you're going to be able to tap on to some of these images using Force Touch, and you're going to be able to see a short clip, a video clip of those moments in very high resolution. So this should be quite interesting, something new that Apple have offered. In terms of video, you have got 4K now, so 4K 2160p recording on both of these devices. Once again, the iPhone 6s Plus has the advantage of optical image stabilization during video, so that should give you some more stable footage. So that is nice to see here. I would have liked it on the iPhone 6s as well, but Apple probably want to keep a bit of a separation, a bit more of a gap between these two devices. And you've also got slow motion, so 1080p this time at 120 frames a second, as well as 720p at 240 frames a second. I absolutely love slow motion on iPhones, and I think they do it the best, and having this at 1080p now as well is a great touch in my opinion. Now, the front-facing cameras, you've got 5 megapixels here on both, so this is an improvement compared to last year's 1.2 megapixels, quite a big improvement. Now, you still have 720p video recording, so that is something to bear in mind. If you're somebody who does a lot of vlogging and things, then that will be at 720p. And if you want to be putting together some of your clips from the rear-facing camera and the front-facing camera, then you've got 4K versus 720p. So that is definitely something to bear in mind. I mean, if you are somebody that does that a lot, then you might have to consider getting another camera or another smartphone in the market that's available. Now, Apple have also included something called Retina Flash. Now, this is just going to illuminate the screen if you are in a low light situation, so kind of like a screen flash, shall we say. So it's not an actual dedicated flash on the front facing camera, it is just using the display, which is pretty bright, so that's going to use that display to give you some more light. We will have to test this out hands-on when the devices are released. You've got iOS 9 on both devices, so this is the latest version, and that will be nice because you're going to be getting the updates directly from Apple. There's Touch ID on both the fingerprint sensor on the home button as well as Apple Pay. So we will have to see how well this performs because Apple Pay is still being rolled out as yet. But Touch ID is supposed to be twice as fast as the iPhone 6. Now, iPhone 6 was already the best fingerprint scanner in my opinion. So the fact that they've improved this is only a good thing. Now let's talk about Force Touch. 3D Touch is what they're calling it. So as mentioned, this is a pressure sensitive screen and it's going to allow you to have lots more features. So for example, if you're in an email, you can just tap down to see a preview. And if you force touch, so if you push it down a little bit harder, then that's going to open up that email. You can do the same thing in galleries, for example. And Apple have also opened this up for developers, so a lot more apps will be supporting Force Touch now. Facebook and Instagram are already on board, so we are going to be seeing this implemented much more going forward, and it's definitely a nice feature, and I can see lots of other smartphones incorporating this going forward. So this is definitely the highlight key feature that you've got on the iPhones, that Force Touch display, 3D touch, whatever you want to call it, but it is definitely nice to see, and it opens up a lot more options in terms of your usage of your phones. Now, in terms of the batteries, they've not specified exactly what the sizes of the batteries are. If we base it on last year's model, which is roughly about what we're going to be expecting, maybe a little bit more, a little bit less. So we will have to wait and see until somebody actually pops open these iPhones to see what the size of the batteries are. You're looking at roughly about 1810 milliamps on the 6S, and on the 6S Plus you're looking at roughly about 2915 milliamps. So these were last year's figures. Now they may be slightly different, so do bear that in mind. The point here is that the iPhone 6s Plus is gonna be much better in terms of your battery life. Now, there is no mention of any sort of fast charging or wireless charging, so you know we are probably gonna have to wait another year for this to be implemented on the new iPhones. And it does take quite a long time for the iPhone 6 Plus to charge up fully, and that's going to be the same situation with the iPhone 6s Plus. Now, you can use the iPad charger to get a faster charge apparently. I am a little bit wary of using this for my iPhone 6 Plus just in case it has an impact on the battery, but just an option if you do want to try it out. In terms of pricing, these are the same prices as we had last year, so off contract you're going to be looking at the same prices, so you're going to be paying a little bit more for the iPhone 6s Plus, and for that you'll be getting the bigger battery, the more resolution, as well as the optical image stabilization. So those are the sort of key things that you'll be getting with the iPhone 6s Plus. You can pre-order these on the 12th of September and they'll be releasing on the 25th of September. So those are the dates that you need to put in your diaries. So there we have it, the new iPhones. Now, what do you think of both of these? Do drop me a comment below and let me know your thoughts. Which one are you thinking of going for? If you are thinking of going for one, let me know there as well. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did, then please do hit that thumbs up button for me. It really does help me out. And as soon as both of these devices are released, we'll have them on the channel full unboxing, camera comparisons, all of that good stuff. So make sure you have subscribed to see those videos first. If you want to see my previous related video, that will also be linked here somewhere, and you can also stay in touch with me over social media. Thanks for watching. This is Saf on Super Saf TV. I'll see you next time.